Peace. Peace. What's good, family? Let me know if y'all can hear me okay on YouTube. I'm assuming that Instagram you can. And I'm going to go live on Facebook, because why not? Peace. You're a peace. Philly, what's good? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. What's up? What's up? Go live to broadcast a moment. Okay. I rarely go live on Facebook. So we're going to go live on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Okay, you can hear me on YouTube. Wonderful. I know y'all can hear me on Instagram, and hopefully y'all can hear me on Facebook, because I rarely go live on Facebook. So I can literally see myself on 4 different cameras right now. And I'm not into looking at myself too often. I mean, I look at myself all the time, but I'm just saying, because I have to edit my videos and edit my content and all the stuff. Like I get over ZaZa seeing me quickly. That's actually why I don't post a lot of pictures. I've never been a picture person. But anyway, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? What's up? What's up? Let's see what's going on in the chat room. Okay, Instagram looks like we got some traction. What's up, Will Cook? Freedom Love Music. Kareem Smith, Hotspots Casino. I am not your baby, but what's up? Peace and love. Peace, Chris G was good. Super K. LJ Johnson, Naturally Clever, Peace Queen. I'm assuming that's a woman. Introverted Empath, what's up? Freedom Music, Chris G, Brandon Rogers, good evening and much love. I'm going to be supervising my own chat on YouTube. I don't have an administrator. So wait a minute. I don't even think I'm on the right page on there. Let's see, hold on. Let me go to my live on the page that I can actually control it. I'm just giving everybody a, 5 minutes or so that we can have an audience, because I didn't announce this and I didn't plan this. I just, I felt like sitting down and having a conversation with you guys. So let's just give it a minute and let a couple more people come through. I am not going to talk for a long time today, I promise you. So don't worry, but let me find my YouTube. Hang tight. Hang tight. Peace. Roy Carter, what's good, my brother? How you doing, sir? Make sure. Okay. Just making sure I can control the live on YouTube, because it goes down on YouTube. The trolls love YouTube. So let me just make sure that I am where I need to be, live in control room. Okay, that's what I want to see. You on YouTube. Only talk for 4 hours. Just making sure. We know I can. Live on, okay, there I go. All right, so I got my chat room up. I'm gonna close this page. What's up, Gerald Dawkins? How you doing, my brother? Chantel Monet, what's good, sis? Much love, Roy Carter. We're supposed to have a conversation today, and I'm going to hold you to that. Let's see who else is in the chat room. General Mosquito, what's good? Erica, what's up, sis? I didn't go check my mail yet, but I am. I promise. Please don't hold that against me. What's up, Facebook? How y'all doing? I don't go live on Facebook a lot. That's my bad. I actually think I have more followers on Facebook than any of the platforms. I think I have 44,000 followers on Facebook. So y'all please pardon me. The frequency on Facebook is different. And I'm gonna actually read some of the comments on my Facebook channel just to kind of prove the point. Let me exit out of here. I got too many screens up. I'm seeing too much ZaZa. So hang on just 1 second. Let me get out of there. And then let me go to Facebook. So I want to read some of these comments just so you guys can understand the gravity of the fuckery that I tend to have to deal with. And pardon my language, I want to have a nice, friendly conversation today because I was in war mode, a beautiful war mode, an important war mode. But today, instead of fighting fire with fire, we're going to fight fire with water. And in my book, Keys to Womanhood, this is one of the things that I have, been talking, or I talk to women and young women about. We have aspects of the elements of the earth within us, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. And so sometimes you got to use fire, and then sometimes you got to use water. But I really want to make sure that I emphasize, because I've had a chance to step away from, the live that I did. I always do a period of introspection, so to speak, when I, go live, or when I do, these conversations where I'm always kind of analyzing myself. Hang on. Okay. Y'all hold me down in the chat room on YouTube, because I when I'm talking, I can't be focused there. So I have to be a little bit all over the place. So please bear with me. I want women to understand, because we have this culture, not just in the Black community, but in terms of the male-female dichotomy, we have this notion that women are supposed to just sit back and take shit. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, somebody called me during my live from a Chicago number. It was a brother. I'm assuming that you obviously have my phone number, so we probably did a consultation some point, and I don't know how I ended up calling from my main phone number, but this gentleman called me during my live and basically left me a message and said, don't ever let these people see you cry. Don't ever let these people get to you like that. First of all, sir, I know you mean well. I hope you meant well, but please don't ever call me during a live where I am expressing myself and trying to convey a message and trying to have a conversation with thousands of people and tell me how to express myself. You know, I wasn't going to get the message right then and there. The call could have potentially taken me off the trajectory of where I was. So, and even in the comments, this whole notion of people seeing you cry as a weakness. Like, okay, so you don't want women to be strong, or you don't want women to be emotional? Because I'm hearing stop being so strong. The strong Black woman needs to die, right? How many times have you heard that? How many videos have you seen about that? But then if I express emotion, it's a problem, which please understand, I don't, I'm a full-fledged woman. Your projections or your opinions of how I express myself don't really mean a lot to me. You know what I mean? I've been doing this social media internet thing for a long time now. So this is why you see me, I'll come on and I'll put out a lot of content for a couple of months, and then you won't see me for 6 months. I know how to balance myself out, right? I know how to express myself, and I know when to pull back, and I know when to kind of move forward. But I need for you guys to understand that idea of showing emotion is a form of weakness. That is a lack-based consciousness, and it's also an inability to understand how emotions actually work and how that is a power center, so to speak. So again, when you tell me stop giving things your energy, stop doing this, stop doing that, you're wasting your breath. By the time I get online and I actually start to talk about something, it means that it's time for me to talk about it. I ignore and I sidestep a lot of shit, right? So what you're indirectly telling me is don't address that publicly. You deal with that on your own time. Shout out to my brother Mills, by the way, for this. He hooked me up with a nice goodie bag not too long ago. He's out here from LA. This sweatshirt actually glows in the dark. It says Rebel. And then it says resisting evil, being examples of love. And it has this nice little wording down the side. So if you guys want me to give you his information, just hit me up and I'll send you his Instagram page. But yeah, you know, see, I have a stupid question in the chat room on YouTube now, and I'm gonna not, maybe I shouldn't project that it's stupid. I'm gonna read it the way it sounds. What do you think about women who have multiple baby daddies? What do you think about men who have multiple baby mamas? Let me ask you that first. And then when you give me your answer, I'll give you mine, okay? But I want to emphasize the point, particularly to these young women we have this idea that being feminine, or that, you know, representing feminism, not feminism, you know, I'm not with that shit. I'm not a feminist, I'm an alchemist, let's be clear. And I have a son who is a growing young man. So any and everything that I do, you know, on behalf of women has to also automatically include my son. But I want women to understand that we've been locked in this paradigm where you either have to be this or you have to be that. And this idea that standing up for yourself is somehow, you know, this masculine, you know, aspect, or this power trip, or this weakness. It's all these different dichotomies, right? And there's multi layers, and we're multiple dimensional beings, right? So if you are consistently being bullied or disrespected, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your family, whether it's at your job, whether it is, you know, within the collective culture, right? Me being a mixed race woman, a Black woman who has a white mother and a Black father, who was raised by my Black family my entire life, there have been so many attempts to bully me just based on that notion itself, right? Which is laughable to me. Again, going back to me being very secure within myself. But I want us to understand that there is a time to breathe fire. There is a time to use water. There is a time to implement yang energy. There is a time to cultivate yin energy, right? So we're gonna stop with this, you know, because me having to address things, by the time I address it, it's already been going on for months or for years or for however amount of time. The only thing that I need for my people who actually support me to do is to have my back. I don't need you to tell me how to talk. I don't need you to tell me how to think. I don't need you to tell me what to think. You can critique me if you love me, and I appreciate your respect and your opinion, but it must be done out of love, and it shouldn't be done in a chat room when I'm on 10. You understand what I'm saying? So let's see. I don't think it's right. I see so many men bashing women about that. I honestly just want to know your opinion. I'll give you my opinion. Just hold tight, because I want to say a few things before I actually start getting into the meat of my subject. I am not going to talk long today, you guys, because I have I'm realizing, and I've continuously realized, that the density of these platforms is really, really low. The frequency on Facebook is low. The frequency on YouTube is low. The frequency on Instagram is low. Now, depending on if you follow just, you know, spiritual pages, or if you follow World Star, or if you follow the Shade Room, it's going to depend on what type of content that you follow, you know, that the algorithm is going to feed you different content, right? But for a person like me, who is consistently trying to find this middle ground between keeping people up to date and informed with information that is necessary and needed in this hour, and at the same time try to give a message of spiritual awareness and metaphysics, trying to battle those two places, I understand why a lot of people in spiritual consciousness do not address Black America. I understand. For a long time, I felt some type of way about it. And there's, you know, caveats to that. I do. And I'm not talking about the religious paradigm. I'm talking about spirituality and metaphysics. Everything that you are experiencing in the physical realm is actually something that's coming from within you, right? Consciousness actually creates reality. This is what I've been talking about and teaching for 10 years, right? So I understand why a lot of those people don't engage our culture, because it takes you have to be ready to get in the mud. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be willing to address the darkness, which is what not just Black people, but most of the people on the planet are trying to find ways to escape their own internal darkness. Right. So it's very rare to see someone that will be talking about chemtrails and genetically modified food and, you know, the poison that they're putting in people's arms and, you know, poisonous water. And, you know, it's rare to find someone that is talking about those things and at the same time talking about the power of the mind. You know, what you focus on expands, bringing awareness to your internal awareness, because that's what's actually creating your reality. It's hard to find people that are talking about both of those things, because the more if you talk about it without being in a space of clarity or not in fear, you're only adding to what you're trying to keep people away from, right? So this is why I've been very careful with what I've been posting and what I've been talking about publicly, because if you're saying it to an audience that is already steeped in fear, that is already scared of what's, you know, whatever the boogeyman is for that particular day, and has no real solid footing or foundation of who they are, it can be a waste of time and it can be counterproductive for them, right? So it takes a fine balance to be able to do that. And this is why when I'm online, and when I'm not online, I'm just not online, right? But I just want to make sure before I get into this that I really emphasize for women, because I've interacted with a lot of women that are in relationships that are like prisons, or that are in, you know, where you start defending yourself and you're talking back, right? Oh, you disrespected me, then you start defending yourself, and now all of a sudden you want to be a man, that type of shit, right? Or in relationships with their jobs or with their businesses, where they are continuously being used as doormats. And because we believe this notion of femininity is to kind of stand in the back and be quiet, well, maybe at one point in time that might be true. But moving forward, we're creating a new dynamic. We're creating a new way for women to interact with the world, righteous women. And when I say righteous, I'm not talking about wearing 3/4 of cloth or, you know, covering yourself from head to toe, because Lord knows I've met some covered sexual vampires, not vampires, but I've met some modest women that are clearly, you know, putting out the call for the opposite sex's attention, right? I just mean inclined to right, being right, inclined to doing right, doing what's in the best interest of yourself, what's in the best interest of your loved ones, etc. So sometimes you fight fire with water. Sometimes you fight fire with fire. Sometimes you don't fight fire at all. You just let that shit burn itself out. And this is pretty much what I've been doing as I've been watching the conscious community continually to beef amongst itself and destroy itself from the inside out. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of being in alignment with the mind of God, with the mind that has created all that is and all that ever will be. That is my goal for myself personally, creating heaven on earth and then building a legacy that is worthy of my son, right? So I want to make sure that I underscore that point for women, because yeah, this is a shift. This is a paradigm shift, so to speak. And when I read you guys some of these comments on my Facebook channel, you're really going to understand how unprepared we are as a culture, our culture, but then American culture, and then global culture. If you are still talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock, I know you don't know what's going on. And I know you're not prepared for what's planned. so to speak. I was going to do a presentation today because, I don't like to sit down and just talk. To me, that's, my opinion is great, but I like to give a full-fledged, kind of understanding of the points that I'm trying to convey. But then I had to stop myself really quickly because, I just put out a lot of information on these platforms that I really know is not really being received with the right energy and the right intention. So a lot of times it just ends up being a waste of my time. But in the presentation, I just wrote some notes down, and I'm just going to kind of go over them briefly in the conversation that we're going to have. So of all the infighting between men and women on social media, on, Real Housewives of Atlanta, for all of you wonderful people who actually watch that shit. All of these different elements of our society and our culture, right? Where we can see men and women interact on Instagram, on YouTube, the common places where we kind of see each other engage one another, right? The one thing that I never hear us, either men who are on one side of the fence and women who are on another. And remember, I understand there's kings and queens. There's brothers and sisters who are operating from the God frequency here, which is self-awareness, self-accountability, self-mastery. Then we have the kings and queens who are operating from here. And I'm only differentiating in levels just to prove the variance. Doesn't mean one is greater than the other. Because, all things work for the greater good. We're all growing at different paces. But so you have the kings and the gods and goddesses, the kings and queens. Then you have the good men and the good women, right? Not less or more, just it is what it is. And then you have everything else, right? So there's no reason for you as a man or a woman, if I am addressing something specifically for women or for men, to get upset if it doesn't apply to you. So when I did a video and I called people peasants and people were writing me like, you call Black people peasants. No, nigga, I call peasants peasants. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that language. I have an agreement with myself for this conversation. So when I use the N-word, it's not race-based for me. It's talking about ignorance, but let me digress and stay where I want to stay. No, fool. Bruh. Oh my God. If I say the word peasant and you identify with the word peasant, there's not really a lot more I can say for you. It's the writing's on the wall. You know what I'm saying? If I say goddess and you identify with the word goddess, well, then me and you have an understanding. If I say king and you automatically resonate with that word, then me and you have an understanding, right? So the only people that are going to get offended because I'm holding men accountable or because I'm holding women accountable is the ones who I'm probably talking to in the first place. So if you get offended or you feel some type of way, then 9 times out of 10, this message is probably for you. One thing that we don't see in the dichotomy of the gender wars, regardless of race, right? Regardless of, all these different levels, we never see it trending. We never see us arguing over the well-being of the children. We never see us arguing over, no, the camp in LA has more space for more children. The place in New York, we need to only send these children over there. The building and the infrastructure that we built in freshmen in Florida is only going to work for these babies. No, that school is only going to be ready in 2023. We haven't yet finished the infrastructure and the building for what we're working on for the babies in Haiti. The campus and the institution of learning in Ghana's not ready yet. The airport that we're building in Ethiopia so that we can take the babies over there so that they can have the experience of Haile Selassie and of all of these great monuments. And it's not ready yet. We're never arguing about the plan for the babies. There's never any, upheaval. It's never trending. Our children don't trend. But you talk about the male-female dichotomy and all hell breaks loose. This is why I don't talk about it a lot, because I realized about, 5 years in that this is the one conversation that everybody wants to point a finger and nobody wants to be held accountable. And when I say everybody, I'm using that language, to make a point. I get it. There are people who are talking about this, but it's a drop of water in an ocean, so to speak, right? Especially when it comes to talking about it in a way that is balanced and that is clear and concise, right? So I try to have always, but I'm always not gonna not talk. Let me say this, because somebody else came on the video and was like, stop talking about the gender war. It's a distraction. I beg your pardon. First of all, again, stop telling me what to talk about. Secondly, if we talked about it more, not just screaming and hurling insults and being disrespectful to one another, but actually talking about it the way grown-ups are supposed to sit down and have conversations. I listen to you, you listen to me. We have a point of disagreement or discontent. We either agree to disagree, or we come to some sort of solution in the middle where we can all move forward. But this notion of ignoring things that are clearly a gaping hole in the fabric of our culture, in our community, that's for you. If that's how you think things should be applied or addressed, that's on you. I've never been like that. My second book, Plagues of Dysfunction, is all about this. Black men need to hold themselves accountable. Black women need to hold themselves accountable. What type of children are we rearing? What type of children are we giving to the world? So like I said in the last video, we keep up wars within ourselves so we don't have to fight the only war that really matters. Who is that? The white man? No, it's not. Newsflash, it's not the white man. The real war that we keep building all these layers and all these levels and all of these different elements to avoid is the war within. The battle between higher self and lower self. Jesus versus Judas. The jihad. And bless your poor understanding of what the Quran was trying to express, or what you've been taught, or the culture that you've been brought up in. And if you actually thought that the jihad was strapping a bomb to your body and going and blowing up institutions or other people, that is lack-based consciousness and is of the devil. Because any righteous Muslim understands how counterproductive that is. You have a medical crew and an investigation team that comes out and makes a story, a media story out of that, and nothing in your culture or your community ever changes. The jihad is not about waging war on anyone else. The jihad is about the internal war within. And that war plays itself out on a multi-dimensional level in a lot of different ways. So the point that I was trying to make versus in the male-female, man versus woman dichotomy, and please understand that I use the term woman versus man, man versus woman, not to engage or to make my content a part of the gender war. I don't do any of that. I do it because I have a limited amount of numbers, letters that I can put into a subject, and I want it to be clear and concise. Plus, we know, the salacious things always get the most attention. So if I say, becoming light in your affairs, so to speak, or I talk about, the power that can be found within, or, going into the subconscious mind, that's one thing. But if I say something that makes you feel like you might be able to watch a fight, yeah, that's a different conversation. That's the point that I was making in the last video about me trending over fuckery, when there have been so many shining examples of why I should have been trending for the good that I've done, right? That's a complete, well, how I say, the people get the leaders they deserve. Yeah, you do. Because y'all follow Black men that are constantly disrespecting Black women. Oh, but he only disrespects Black women on Thursdays. The rest of the week, he's so kind and sweet and nurturing and talking about culture. Stop it. A lot of y'all resonate with those brothers because they say the things that you either don't have the platform or the heart to say. And I'm not just making that about men. I'm talking about the women who watch those platforms as well, because Lord knows we got a lot of male cheerleaders, females who just want the male attention. So they're just saying and doing anything, even promoting your bullshit. So continuously engaging in wars and in beefs so that you can avoid the only war that actually matters, which is the war within. Peace, Brother Tyrone from Australia. Much love. There's no conversation that is more disagreeable and will send people in different directions than the conversation about the male-female dichotomy. It's fascinating to me. So this is a microcosm of the macrocosm, the higher self and the lower self, the masculine and the feminine, right? You look at the chakra systems. Most of us are operating in those lower chakras in your lower nature. You still haven't tapped into the third eye. How do we know? Because you're not in tune with God. How do we know? Because people are telling you what to do and you're just doing that shit without questioning anything. You cannot be connected to your higher self and be blindly following anything or anyone. So fear is anti-God, but we are surrounded by people who lack courage. I've never seen anything like this. Courage is the bag, and now I've never seen. And again, I'm looking for allies in everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm saying, right? So I'm looking for allies on Instagram. I'm looking for allies on YouTube. In your comments, you say comments that resonate, that make me feel alive, or that bring my vibration up, because this is a one-way channel. This is a one-way street for the most part. I give, you guys receive, right? It's very rarely reciprocal, but that's okay. I understand the way that this system is set up, so to speak. So if you say things in my inboxes and in my DMs and you send me information and content that makes me feel alive, okay, potential ally. Not like you're gonna come and rescue me if I'm, stranded on a deserted island, but like you might have resources and information spiritually or mentally, or when it comes to raising children or buying I was going to say raising food, or producing food, or cultivating land, or learning how to build up infrastructure, right? I can find value in potentially, right? But the fear-based consciousness is just absolutely astounding to me. I've never seen this much cowardice behavior in my life. Especially for me, because, when I see the devil active, God starts raising up in me. When I see that the devil has an agenda for the babies, when I see that the devil has an agenda for our men, when I see that the devil has an agenda for our women and against our planet, I take offense. You putting cell phone towers on every other block, destroying all the natural organic systems of living, the ecosystem. I remember when I found out that there was a island of plastics floating around the planet. Oh my goodness. How savage can we be? We haven't made it a point. The plastic is strangling the ducks, and you know what I'm saying? All the frequencies are making birds fall out of the sky. For a lot of y'all, that's just a news report. For me, it makes me cock my spiritual weaponry. Because I know that these people have declared war on our planet. And I know that these people have declared war on organic and natural law. That's why I wrote The Scientific Intervention in Our Affairs. Hey, Africans. Hey, melanated people around the world. They're studying your DNA. They're trying to find out a way to develop specific race-based weapons in order to call and kill you. Warning. Mass birds and sharks and whales, and nature is crying out for help, crying out for a reprieve. What are we talking about? Chris Rock and Will Smith. It's absolutely fascinating to me. The algorithm is creating consciousness now. Artificial intelligence is live and kicking. So somebody, when you come on my page now, on my Facebook page, a brother took a clip of my male-female, I was talking about men, men holding themselves accountable. It's a 60-second clip, though, mind you, of a 3-hour video. How did the conversation become about Chris Rock and Will Smith? On Facebook is what I'm talking about. I mentioned them in passing on the video, but to me, they're just pawns in a game with no power. Rich pawns, but they have absolutely no power. Why would I ever stand up or support Chris Rock when he's running around as a poster boy of these wicked demons? Has either of them spoke up about these mandates? Have either of them talked about the potential health ramifications of 5 to 11-year-olds? Why would I be concerned with anything that's happening in their world? Oh, now they're trying to take Will Smith's career from him. No, they're not. This is all a part of the stage show. And the fact that you can't see that it's a stage show lets me know you're probably not going to be a good ally. I'm not being facetious. I'm just saying. If you're wrapped up in the movie, you are clearly not understanding the bigger ramifications of what's happening. There's nothing happening in mainstream media, nothing that is outside the scope of this agenda, especially if it's getting all of this media headway, this media play. BBC and CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and CNN and Reuters and all of these allegedly, supposedly, reputable sources of news. I didn't say the Shade Room. I didn't say Media Takeout. I didn't say, Black News 101 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know whose page that is. So don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. What's Essence? Weak. Ebony, weak. I'm thinking of Black, centers of media. None come to mind. Not a one. Online, social, not one place where we can go and get real, actual, factual news and information about what's really happening in the world. Not one. I don't know. Maybe it's pay-per-view. I haven't seen it. I don't know. Ramadan Kareem to all of the Muslims tuned in. Those of you guys who will watch this. It's a movie. We're watching a movie. And it depends on your acumen and the way that you see the world, if you're participating in the stage show or if you're just stepping back and actually watching what's taking place. Right? So, bird's eye view versus eagle vision. Bird's eye view is I'm flying above. I can see what's in my direct, pathway. whether it's, this street that I'm looking at, or this house that I'm looking at, or this building. I'm flying, I have my eyes, and I can pinpoint one specific thing or one specific area, right? And I have a vantage point there. I can't see here, I can't see here, I can't see behind me, but I do have bird's eye vision where I can see what's right in front of me. Eagle eye vision can see the whole picture, right? The bigger spectrum of what's actually taking place in the world, right? So bird's eye view is NFTs, and blockchain is a great way for, us to pull ourselves out of economic, struggle. It's a way to advance yourself financially, et cetera, et cetera. Great, go for it. I won't stand in the way of that, right? Because whatever the building blocks of you building a sovereignty for yourself, that's personal and specific to you. And it's important and it matters, right? Eagle vision is, here's the pros and here's the cons. The cons are that their intention is to take the digital network, and that includes finances, that includes social media, that includes the banking infrastructure, that includes the travel industry, that includes the medical industry, that includes the educational industry, all facets of culture and civilization. The plan is for it to be locked into a digital lockdown. So eagle eye vision is understanding the pros and the cons and making a plan or using a strategy based on both of these things. Most of the people that I see talking about digital currency or NFT are missing this aspect. So the danger of that is, as you lead people into a specific space, you now have a responsibility and a role for how things turn out for them. That doesn't mean, oh, you paid me for a service, I gave you an option, and you did it and you had your choice to not do it or not. Yeah, that's one level, right? But as a spiritual being, I understand that when you start to guide people into a certain direction, especially depending on your own personal consciousness, yeah, you have an accountability for the way that they are shifting or moving in terms of decisions that they're making, right? So I see a lot of energy being focused in on materialism and on economics and on finances, which is wonderful. I'm all for it, long as it's helping and benefiting you and your family. But the problem is, or not even the problem, the flip side of that is, we're in spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare meaning keeping you locked in a fear-based frequency, keeping you focused on the right now, today, what's in front of your face, physical reality, not understanding that you're a spiritual being and that consciousness actually creates reality. This is why the metaverse is beautiful for their agenda. And by the way, anybody who is, promoting that world, this message is especially for you, right? Again, bird's eye vision versus eagle eye vision. I want to be with the bird's eye, with the eagle eye, Freudian slip. I want to be with the people who have eagle eye vision. I don't want to be with the people that are going to lead me into a trap and then be like, well, you could have went the other way. So thank you very much, Nyla. Thank you very much, Diana. I appreciate you guys for the super chats. Hold on. So I forgot to do this, just in case. And all right. So the dangerous thing about the metaverse is that if we already live in a world of people who are avoiding themselves, depression and anxiety, and these are real things, because I talk to people. A lot of the people who tune into my platforms, you've actually talked. You can get me on the phone, under the right circumstances. You can see me in public. You can actually see that I am who I am. I have the same perspective, persona, energy, frequency in public as I do online, right? I listen to people and I understand the severity of the suffering and of the struggling, right? And these are internal wars. I'm more inclined to think, you know, people use the word depression a lot. I'm more inclined to think that people are just mentally and spiritually exhausted. And there's no real remedy for that, right? There's because you have to deal with yourself. And dealing with yourself is one thing that everybody's avoiding, right? Everybody meaning, you know, the collective consciousness. I know we have light beings among us. I wouldn't even be on this platform if I thought that everybody that I was talking to was an 85%. It would be a 100% waste of my time, let me assure you. So if consciousness creates reality, and it does, then if you are engaged in a world that has been created for you, a different dimension of consciousness, i.e. the metaverse, you're no longer creating reality anymore. You're stepping inside of another dimension of consciousness that has already been created for you. Yeah, you can, you know, buy a smoothie in the metaverse, I guess. I don't know why you would, but, you know, it's fascinating to me. Or a t-shirt or some tennis shoes, or, you know, you can engage in these, like the Sims. I used to love the Sims, right? I loved it because I love design. So I wanted to design buildings and whatnot, but you can create all of these different elements of what we have in third dimensional reality in the metaverse. It's just that when you log off, everything that you created logs off with you, right? So, they're ushering people, and when I say they, I don't just mean the powers that be. I mean the people who are lost in the sauce, right? Pushing people further into loss, as my friend Shiva says, right? As long as you're in the metaverse, you're not actually consciously creating a reality, because you're creating a world for yourself in a reality in a false dimension of consciousness that doesn't exist in third dimensional reality. Now, can you go into the metaverse? You know, now they're saying a woman is claimed she was gang raped. You know, they're going to create all of these different, you know, extra elements to be able to, you know, satisfy and gratify you in those realities, right? So, you know, attaching things to yourself physically that can make you have a sexual response from an interaction that you're having with a woman in that space. So you actually do have an orgasm, you actually do experience sexual gratification, but there's no one with you. There's no physical stimulation or interaction. It's all a synthetic, inorganic way of human beings now engaging one another, right? So as long as you're in the metaverse, and as long as you are focusing your energy and attention there, we know that you're not consciously creating reality in the third dimensional reality. And if that's how you want to play it, fine. But again, bird's eye vision versus eagle eye view. The immature and childish way that we handle disagreement as a culture is embarrassing. We don't have a collective consciousness of women that is purely focused on self-accountability without focusing on men. We don't have a well-rounded, well-seen and heard collective consciousness of men that are focusing on self-accountability. This is a fact. It's not even negotiable at this point. So much love, AJ. I appreciate you. Let me read some of these comments, just so that you guys can understand how frustrating it is. I'm going to read what I said to you first, because, you know, I do these videos, but I'm really a writer. You know, this is my real power base is writing, right? So if I put up a video, I want you to hear me, but I also want you to listen to read my words so that you can get the full gist of what it is that I'm trying to convey. Sitting on these, cameras and talking, I'm just going off the top of my head. This isn't a planned, concise body of information. But if I sit down and write something, I'm trying to convey a broader topic of conversation, right? So I said this 60-minute video was about the fact that there's no collective consciousness of men, how unsafe and unprotected women of the world are, right? So I'm talking about the whole dichotomy of men and women, not just the women in your community, in your, on your block, right? So I said, there is an expansion of consciousness and internal focus from many men around the world on an individual and collective level. I am in full support. When this movement begins to make the protection of women and girls all over the world a collective responsibility, the atonement process to restore the damage that has been done to the female collective can take place and true healing can begin. Many men are searching. Thank you, Raven. Many men are searching, even yearning for compassion and understanding from the female collective, who tend to be tone deaf to the suffering or struggles of man due to the apparent neutrality for the concern of the female species as a whole. Respect is earned. True love demands reciprocity. Now that's called balance, right? I didn't say, oh, you weak men need to get it together. I didn't say you're the problem. I didn't say I'm so sick of men. I didn't say there are no good men out here. I didn't say we got to get us, divestment. We need to team up with white men now, because Lord knows if you think you in hell now. And I'm only saying that's not a judgment against all white men, but the only reason why you attract fuck boys is because your inner fuck boy has not been healed. White, black, Asian, whatever. And I'm not, blaming you if you were in a relationship with an abusive man. It doesn't mean you're an abusive woman who attracted an abusive man. That's not how the law of attraction works. Sometimes you have a prayer for a certain type of man, and you haven't met the requirements and the qualifications to attract that type of man. And depending on how low you have to bring yourself up based on family dynamic, based on, cultural dynamic, based on where you live, what you have access to, what you don't, that's going to determine how much farther up the mountain you have to go to attract the type of man that you say you want. So sometimes it is you are a hateful, spiteful woman on the inside, so you attracted a hateful, spiteful man who was, physically or sexually abusive to you. Or sometimes it's that you have low self-esteem and you don't believe in yourself, and that you expect the world to, devalue you or to disrespect you. So you've attracted the man who's going to do exactly that. There's layers and levels of this, but I know for a fact, i.e. the gentleman, and gentleman is a nice term because I'm trying to be nice. We're fighting fire with water today. The fire is always close. We're going to use water today just because I want to make sure women understand there's a lot of science and, chemistry and sociology and physiology when it comes to how we express ourselves. Stop letting these peons and these peasants make you feel like you can't defend yourself or you can't defend other women. I beg your pardon. So you see what I said? It was balanced. It was fair. It wasn't spirited. I was telling men, I hear you. I see your suffering. I feel your pain. I think you might want to consider this. You're not getting reciprocity or empathy and compassion from the women that you are trying to get to hear you, because they're tone deaf. Because women have been suffering, women have been abused, women have been damaged for a long time now, and we haven't heard you say or do anything about it. So now when you need their support, and I'm separating myself from them because I have consistently always been a proponent and a soldier for kings. I don't stand up for peons and peasants, but if you're a king or a good man, I got your back. And I've gotten a lot of flack for that too over the years, but that's another story, right? So I'm trying to get men to understand, I hear you. Here's why you're not getting the response from women, or the sympathy, or not sympathy, empathy and compassion, because for the last hundreds of years, thousands of years, depending on who you ask, you've been kind of ignoring some things that have been going on in the culture and on the planet. It's the same exact example that I gave, and I can't remember if I got the example all the way out because my mind be moving so fast. The white world now standing back and watching all of the native people of the world get raped, get robbed, natural resources, land, everything, constant disrespect, constant abuse. Like, do I think Black Lives Matter is a legitimate organization working for white people? I mean, for Black people? Absolutely not. I've said this 1,000 times. I've made videos about it. You can go back and watch them. I understand white people and them identifying that Black Lives Matter is a shill, but can you understand that Black men have been being killed and brutalized by white police since we came to this country? Well, since the latter of us came to this country, we've always been here. Right? So now the white world in Canada and in Australia and in London and in all of these different places, Paris, who have never really experienced extreme levels of abuse and psychological trauma, nowhere near the level that the indigenous people of the world have. Now you want, and rightfully so, for everybody to pay attention to your sojourn, for everybody to watch and understand what's happening in your country. And I have consistently been talking Canada, and specifically, especially because it's right on our border. It's fascinating to me how many people in America don't know what's happening in Canada. Shame on you. That's our next door neighbor, even just from a strategic perspective, whether you care about white people or Canada or not, strategically, you should understand what's happening there. They just passed a bill or a law, I don't know where they call it, bills or laws or whatever in Canada, but they're like heavily penalizing people now for gathering in groups under the name of protesting. I'm concerned about that. But again, I look at this as my planet, not that's what's happening to them over there. Remember, queen, goddess, queen, good woman, and then everybody else. There's layers and levels. So the people, the European people of the world now are, for the first time in a long time, I'm not talking about little wars, the Irish versus the Scottish, or the British coming in and doing what they did to the smaller clans and tribes of European people. I'm talking about the pain and the destruction and the savagery that has been inflicted on the darker people of the world, and you've sat by and you've said and done nothing. It's gonna cut me off on one of my Instagram. I'm gonna go back live as soon as it cuts me off, you guys. So it says I have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. So as soon as it cuts me off, I'll come back on until I have battery left, and then I'm out of here. I'm going to eat dinner today at Crystal. Well, I shouldn't say that publicly. It's a beautiful Black-owned soul food restaurant in the Los Angeles area. So, but anyway, to me, it's the same argument of the European cultures who have sat back and watched what has happened to my people and the indigenous people of the world, and not saying or doing anything to get involved, to raise awareness, to change the dichotomy between the different races. But now here we are watching you be victims of what people who look like me and the darker peoples of the earth, now you're having to experience it. It's a different ball game now, right? So This is the same thing that I'm seeing in the male-female dichotomy, when now you want for women, and rightfully so, you want for women to have empathy and compassion, and to look at you deeper than what we see on the surface, and to feel for you, right? But it's been a long, 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 long time since you've done it for us. So your words and your feelings and your pain is falling on deaf ears. Give me a second, you guys. I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to come back. I'll be making some crazy faces in these videos. All right, let's share this on Instagram. Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. Thank you, Red Pill, for that comment, because I'm about to read it. Good job. I needed somebody to say something like that. I'm going to tell you why that's a problem. Let me show it. Okay. Let me go live again on Instagram. Okay. Let me put on my soy Burt's Bees lip balm. What's up, Instagram? Y'all come back through. What's up? What's up? What's up? All right. What do you think of the action of Will Smith in defense? This brother just asked me this on Facebook. What do you think of the actions of Will Smith in defense of his wife, Jada? You see what I'm saying? You see? So what was I saying before because I want to make sure I stay. Oh, so you've got this dichotomy with the Europeans, and now them experiencing these extreme levels of abuse and torture and psychological trauma and all of this madness, which they should be crying out for reprieve, and they should be humbled, and they should. I don't look at what's happening in those countries and be like, yeah, that's your fault. You should have, done whatever you did or whatever. No, I don't look at that. I look at that like there is a war against humanity that's happening on our planet. So anything that is not of love, that is not of righteousness, that is of a higher vibration in terms of what's taking place on this planet is a problem to me, because consciousness creates reality. Somebody in my comments on Instagram just said, fuck them. I'm assuming you're talking about what I'm talking about, which is Europeans. The only problem with that is that if there's mass suffering in Canada and consciousness creates reality, that's going to have ripple effects in our world. We don't respect the spiritual dichotomy. We don't respect how energy and frequency works. We think that we're just stepping back, watching it all take place, and it doesn't have anything to do with us. It has everything to do with you. That's our mindset. A lot of our people are locked in the race-based frequency. And while the importance of that time frame has served its purpose, but we have to move out of that dichotomy now. I'll never say, when I know that innocent elderly people and women and children are being, they have in Canada, the Aborigine women had to run out into the cold. They sent these troopers, Canadian police, out to basically forcibly make people take this poison. And so we had women and children running out into the night, fearing for their safety in the mountainsides of this particular area so that they could avoid having to take this poison. What's your perspective on them? because Canada is an entity unto itself, right? So what is happening to, if it's happening to white people in Canada, oh, I can assure you, the indigenous people are getting it 1,000 times worse. Would you say fuck them too? Because if you would, this is not the page for you. I invite you to leave. The algorithm is creating consciousness now, right? So, peace out. So now you have these different levels and layers of consciousness now that looks like it's real, i.e. Will Smith and Chris Rock. You guys have taken a fabricated play, two actors acting out a play, and now turned it into some sort of movement for protecting your wife. And those are not the people to be using as examples of protecting your wife. This man had his wife had a boyfriend that was practically living with them. Her boyfriend was her son's friend. Y'all skipped a lot of things to be having this conversation about, because you live vicariously through these people, right? I've been saying this for a long time. Black people worship celebrities. You do. How else could this be getting this type of attention? You're trying to make a point about mental illness or about the feminization of the Black male, or about, Black men standing up for their women. Well, what about the sister who in Brooklyn was walking to her door and she was with what looked like a 4 or 5 year old child, and 2 Black men walked up and robbed her at gunpoint in front of her child? Where's the example about that? Who's having the conversation about that? Will Smith is worth $100 million, at least. When has he stood up for a cause that actually represents what you guys are claiming he's supposed to be representing now? It's been a while. And then Chris Rock, Mr. I got my shot. Did you get yours? So I'm looking at all of this, and it just in my mind, because I'm already in urgency mode in my spirit, but I'm keeping it balanced, right? The fire with fire, wire, sometimes it's fire, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's air, sometimes it's wood, sometimes it's, I'm dealing with all of the different elements of myself, right? And I don't do that online because, personal power. That's what I'm about, not getting likes or views, right? But I'm looking at how the lack of urgency and how much time and attention our culture is putting into this. And it's very clear to me, y'all are not ready. Y'all are nowhere near ready for what these people are doing, have done, and are getting ready to do. I don't know if I can say this. In Australia, bruh, the areas of Australia that are the most rebellious, people who were nonconformists, so to speak, the areas where, the populations are not with the games, right? So there's more protesting, et cetera, et cetera. They use weather to fight, to basically completely annihilate those movements. Weather. So, you got your gun. I see and hear us, particularly our men, focusing a lot on being strapped up. Okay, I understand that has a time and a place. They're using weather warfare, bruh. They've completely flooded areas of Australia where you can't even get in a boat. You can't even get in your car and drive to the protests, let alone be a part of one. Children of men. Thank you very much. 22 Ronan. Perfect. Children of men. Immature, childish, everything's entertainment, everything's a joke, everything's a game. Grammys coming up next. Who's your favorite artist? They've used Black celebrities and Black entertainers to completely nullify any sort of revolutionary movement or agenda. That and money, finances. Most of our men are steeped in NFT and Bitcoin right now. They don't really have time for what's happening in Australia. And when I say most of our men, I'm talking about those that actually have platforms where they can get people to listen to them and, you know, get swaying consciousness, so to speak. What do I think about Will Smith defending his wife? I think it was an act. I think it was all for play. I think they put that show on for multiple different things, but the main thing is to sit back and push buttons and watch the puppets dance. Still talking about it. Supposedly reputable Black news, you know, media outlets still talking about it. Oh, Will is losing his right to, you know, they're making him resign from the Academy of blah, 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 whatever. Well, why did Will Smith lose his? So-and-so did this. Remember when the white lady came on and did this? They didn't do that to Will Smith. When did Will Smith become an advocate for you? I mean, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, but it's also very alarming that y'all can't see this. Even if you think Will Smith did slap him, okay, it might have been news the first day. We're a week past that shit now. Why are you still talking about it? And like I said, those are horrible people to be making an example of, because Will Smith had a whole nother man with keys to his house in his car, handling the business of his wife. Was he protecting her then? I don't know. Now, Red Table Talk is the place where people come to get healing or to have intellectually, you know, higher levels of conversation. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all give these people way too much energy, way too much attention, way too much focus, way too much time. They don't care about what's happening on the ground in your world. They don't care about your children, because if they did, they wouldn't be so quiet about what's going on. A people of sport and play. I see entertainment happening all around me. And a lot of people who claim to be conscious are entertainers. The algorithm is creating consciousness for the lower vibrational beings. So if you're still on the conversation about Will Smith and Jada, and you're now trying to streamline that into some, you know, higher upper echelon conversation, much love, King James, I appreciate you, about something that really matters, but you're still engaged in the fuckery of that event, your consciousness is being dictated and determined by the algorithm. You are no longer consciously creating reality. You are responding to the reality that has been created for you. And if that makes you feel some type of way, then I'm probably talking to you. And when you understand that consciousness creates reality, you understand that whatever it is that you're focusing on, and you know, a 10-minute conversation is one thing. 1 week complete, ongoing, you know, engaging, dialoguing, arguing, yelling, texting, videoing, all this information, all this energy y'all putting into some shit that doesn't mean anything in the broader scope of what's happening on the planet. Like I said, push a button and watch the little puppets dance. Just like the whole idea now with we're going to end daylight savings time. So we tell you when time starts, we tell you when time ends, we tell you when to wake up, we tell you when to go to sleep. Now we can switch things down around a little bit. How many people live for the weekend? Your clock has been determined by another man. Yes, Tamika said on Facebook, calling each other names. I mean, I can't even, I'm gonna read some of these comments because I understand if you go on the shade room and want to declare war on the thoughts of the world. Why are you on my page with that shit? There's nothing, you know what I'm saying? Everything, I'm talking about yoga. I'm talking about fasting. I'm talking about the power of the mind. I'm talking about God and spirituality, and drink your water and take bentonite clay and take your herbs and get your mind right, get your spirit right. This is what I'm talking about. Why are you in my world talking about hood rats? Because you attract hood rats, because you are a hood rat. Just a male version. We need a name for that. How do we identify male hood rats? Fuckboy is not a legitimate term, and that term can go be gender neutral as far as I'm concerned. Pardon my language, you guys, but you know, it is what it is. So let's get back to, you heard what I said, right? You heard what I read, right? The post that I put up on these different social media pages. Let's just read a few. Let me pull it back up. Hang on, y'all. All right. Will Morgan said, had this been two Black men in the street, someone might be dead and the other in jail. Then who protects said woman? The next immature male. Now he's making a point about how immature the whole scenario was, and he's right. But this post isn't about Will and Chris. The algorithm is creating the consciousness, right? Much love, Miss Nay. I appreciate you. I have a light in my face, so if I'm saying it wrong, and I have 4 screens that I'm looking at, so please pardon me. I just honestly, when I read some of this stuff, I just really. Gregory Simmons says, you know, it's far easier for a hood rat to pull a straight arrow down to her level than it is for him to raise her up to his. He's just Smith now. Dude's got no will left. I guess he was commenting on someone else. I said, try saying it in your own words so I can help you get some clarity. He says, try accepting what was presented as opposed to minimizing the source where it originated from. Now, mind you, he came on the page talking about hood rats. Who's talking about hood rats? Where are you? I said, I'm not even going to read everything I said because who cares? I mean, you know, I care, but we're having a conversation about men being accountable to being the protectors and the providers in our culture. I'm trying to have a collegiate level, university level, you know, conversation, just in terms of age range, right? I'm expecting that, you know, 25 and up should be in this conversation. And here's a man who looks like he's probably in his 50s, God help him. Maybe even older than that. Maybe he's tuned in. I don't know. You want to come have a conversation with me? Let's go live. Talking about hood rats. I don't have any hood rats around me. Do you? Only time I see hood rats is when I'm on, you know, the shade room. Wealthy hood rats at that, but still rich, not wealthy. Then Vincent comes on and says, not to deflect, but there has to be something more pertinent that we are being distracted from with the staged event that's provoking this dialogue. Again, you brought that into the conversation. You're still on Chris and Will time. I was never on Chris and Will time. The algorithm doesn't dictate my consciousness. This is why I don't really talk about trending topics or talk about other people in their business or what's happening in their life. I'm a host, not a parasite. I don't need to take what's going on in the world and use that as a means or a springboard for me to have something to talk about, right? So you, again, have proven the point. We gave women more than they deserve. Bring back our boys. What? Hood rat culture is a problem. Men aren't respecting that. That's the problem. I said, you must hang around or know a lot of hood rats. I don't. He said, perhaps you should check my, oh, I said that. Hold on. Trying to find the rest of these dudes. Somebody said the Jezebel spirit is running rampant, responding to Chris. But he said something else that I wanted to read. Base of protection. This is Joe Muhammad, somebody who I actually interact with. Base of protection for girls and women are their fathers and husbands. There is not a fix or substitute for that. Actually, there is. It's called love. If you don't grow up with a good mother in your life, then the universe is going to conspire directly or indirectly for you to have experiences so that you can come to a synthesis with a divine feminine or a righteous feminine energy, if you're open and receptive to that. If you are a woman who didn't have a father in her life, depending on who your mother is, you will be brought into the fold of loving, well-meaning men that are going to take care of you and make sure that you're okay. So that type of, and then in the next breath, he'll be sending me a message saying, the African proverb says it takes a village. Y'all don't believe in a village. You've never created one. You've never seen one. So you don't even know what that looks and feels like. If she doesn't have a father or a husband, she's basically up for grabs. The world can have their way with her. Our men can do whatever they want to do to her. Any man can do whatever they want to do. That's that cowardly, weak talk that I am not trying. I'm looking for kings and queens. Good men and good women too, but specifically, that's not king language. I don't want those type of men around me. And I don't have the type of issues. And my father was partially in my life, and my mother was not in my life at all. And I'm very well adjusted. Thank you very much. Because God put angels on my path at every step of the way in order to help me cultivate and bring me back to the center. Some of us don't have fathers or mothers, I'm talking about men and women, because it's a part of the divine process of our soul. The reason why we came here. This is why our lack of respect for the spiritual consciousness beyond religion. The Quran and the Bible are books and our guide, our roadmaps, but a tree is a wealth of information. The ocean is an endless spiritual guide. The ocean. I'm not locked in a religious frequency. I don't do religion, but I do study the Bible and the Quran, all religious texts. But I know how to teach and lead people without bringing religion into the equation if that's what it dictates. So this notion that their fathers and their husbands are the ones that are supposed to protect the girls and the women, I might even block you after I finish this live. I don't need this type of, what good can you do the culture at this point? My son, if he's anywhere out in the world dealing with any sort of adversity or God forbid, any sort of adversity or difficult, I expect if there is a Black man in the room to cover down on my son. I expect If there's a Black woman anywhere in the vicinity, whatever you're doing, you're going to stop and hone in on my son to make sure that he's okay. That's my expectation of the world. So he'll never be anywhere where you are, sir, because you too busy focusing on what the other elements of his life and his reality. When you understand how spirituality, being a spiritual being in a physical world, you understand that some of us chose to come here through it into dysfunctional families. Some of us chose to come in and not have a father or a parent that was present because it was going to help shape and mold the aspects of our characteristics that we needed to become the man or the woman that we're supposed to be. People go through trauma and negative experiences all the time in order to expand their soul so that they can become who they're meant to be. Y'all on this surface level, rudimentary, substandard shit, still talking about shit that we should have mastered 100 years ago. Slavery can tell you that this shit's not true. You ever study slavery? I have. You understand what happens when they take families and rip them apart and there's no mother available and there's no father available? Who's going to take care of the children? Whoever's present. I can guarantee you, wherever I am, if your child or your niece or your nephew is in the vicinity of where I'm at and somebody tries to mishandle them or do them wrong, oh, I can assure you they have a strong ally in me, not because of you, but because it's just who I am. So we're not talking to you, Joe Muhammad. We want to talk to the kings of the world. You have identified yourself. We are no longer interested in what you have to bring to the conversation. I don't want to have a meeting of the minds. I don't want to unite with you. I want you to go about your business and do what you think is in your best interest and just stay out of my way. This one brother who I've been communicating with for a long time is actually who provoked me to want to address this. Wise Lanier is his name. He might be watching. Just a question. If we know nothing is absolute, I hope y'all holding it down in the chat room on YouTube. It's moving fast, so I can't see what's going on. If we know nothing is absolute, let me get my pen because this is a math equation. It could have been a math equation, but it ended up being a dreadful fail. If we know nothing is absolute, this question is rooted in so much lack-based consciousness. I didn't really know how to process this. And I be trying to engage my people. I be trying to have, yes, I do have the village mentality, and I only want to be around people that have the village mentality. That's a fact. But like-minded village. We're not bringing in hyenas and werewolf into our village. If we know nothing is absolute, what percentage would we have to reach in order to be satisfied? Now, remember, he's responding to my video, which says that I know that there are some individual brothers that are out here that are, working for the women, etc. So I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush. I'm saying collectively, nowhere in the world has there been a movement of men that have been intentionally focused on protecting women. Nowhere, right? So this is the context of what I'm saying. And then I wrote what I wrote in order to bring it back to the center, right? To be balanced. What percentage would we have to reach in order to be satisfied? How can we determine the collective has been applied? I feel since we can't determine the collective, this topic will have a never ending, we'll never have an ending, right? So I said, you're a man, you tell us. What percentage would you be satisfied with in terms of men that are intentional in protecting women? This answer took me out. Let me drink some water. This answer, let me just read the answer. He said, Oh my God, I can't even believe I'm reading this out loud. I mean, technically, 51% would be a majority. Let's write that number down because we're doing math now, and I love math. I don't love math, but I understand, math has its purpose and it's important. He said, well, technically, 51% would be a majority, but I'm shooting for better than that. Nothing is 100%. Since we won't reach 100, this discussion can go on forever because I don't think either side will ever be satisfied, no matter if 2 billion men stood on their square about our women and babies. There are plenty of men who are unsung that are on the job, an overwhelming amount. I don't think us as a community should be naive to the men who are lacking. We should focus on raising up the ones who are on the job. You lost me at 51%. You lost me at 51%. I literally responded to him and just told him it was a 60-second clip of a 3-hour video. And I just basically said 51%, that's good to know. Don't want you in my cipher. That's not personal. I don't know this, brother. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just calling people out. I'm just that mindset, that mentality. Can you imagine me with a son? Somebody asking me a question, well, if we could make it how we want it to be, or what we should be shooting for in terms of the male female dichotomy, when it comes to, how women engage your son and how the women who interact with, the young ladies who interact with your son, or, just in terms of like the maternal element of the male female dichotomy, like what percentage of women would you want to actually have your son's back if it ever, if the need ever arises? If I don't say 100%, you please do not ever watch anything that I ever say again. And I wouldn't even say a number. I would have never even trivialized. It's so fucking trivial to even make this about a number. I would have never said, well, 100%, of course. I would have said, it is my prayer and my deepest, sincerest hope that all of the women that my son comes in contact with has his best interest at hand and is going to look out for him. I don't want him to engage with anybody who does not want for his well-being. We have these built-in alibis for weak men. We have these built-in alibis for abuse in our culture, for sexual molestation. We have built-in alibis for trauma. We have built-in alibis for fuckery and dysfunction. There's no clearer indication than that. Do I think I can get Megan Thee Stallion off the pole? No. Is it my intention to get her off the pole? Absolutely not. Do I think that any young woman between the age of 15 years old and anywhere up, if she actually has a chance to listen to me, do I think I can get her out off the pole? Without a doubt. We put the clean glass next to the dirty glass and let the people decide. Are those girls who are looking up to that type of shit important to me and valuable to me? Of course. I don't have to listen, kings and queens, gods, goddesses, kings, queens, good men, good women, people who are aspiring to righteousness. My mind, when I read that comment, I literally in my mind I couldn't even well, maybe he was 51%. That's why we're in the condition that we're in now. That's why men think it's okay to walk up to a woman and rob her in broad daylight while her child is right there. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Same way I said the Jesus complex, the savior complex is all of the people that are sitting back and waiting for Jesus to come back, white, black, or otherwise. Whether he's white with blonde hair or blue eyes, or he's black with an afro and a dashiki, He's still a savior that you're waiting to come back, who's never coming back. So those people are implementing the savior complex for it to serve them or to work for them in some sort of capacity. But then you have these other people who need somebody to lynch. They need a modern day Jesus. Somebody that they could be disrespectful to. Somebody that they could make videos about or comments about. The hood rats. Hood rats exist in your world, bro. Hood rats are figments of an imagination on a social media platform to me. I don't talk to those type of people. I don't engage those type of people. They're not going to hit me up and ask me for assistance. They're not a part of my reality. They are yours, though. So you want to skin and, scalp and lynch the hood rats of the world. Or your mother was not giving you enough laptop time and you didn't get enough breast milk, so now all of a sudden you're declaring war on all women. Or your first girlfriend broke your heart. Or some, Jezebel that you managed to attract. You attracted a Jezebel and now you're going to declare war on all women. You didn't get the lesson, bro. You're going to attract another Jezebel. I don't have no tolerance for ignorance and we're all blades of grass growing at different paces. So I don't expect any of us to come to the forefront having it all figured out. You know what I'm saying? I'm light years ahead in 2022 than I was in 2012. But there's just some shit I never said. I wasn't 16 like, I think 51% would be a good number of men. I wasn't 10 saying that type of shit. You need a savior or you need a martyr. I need somebody to wake me up or I need somebody to kill. I want to focus on the lower aspects of everything else that everybody around me is expressing and doing, because as long as I'm focusing on them, I don't ever have to deal with my own personal shit. Creating wars everywhere so you don't have to deal with the only war that actually matters, which is the one within. So all these people who have built platforms talking about Black women and how they hate Black women and how they disrespect them continuously, and y'all follow them because the people get the leaders they deserve. And all of the women who are talking about divesting and talking about get you a white man now and talking about, promoting lesbianism as a means of anti-male expression. And yeah, they have followers. The people get the leaders they deserve. Keep wars going so you don't have to deal with the only war that actually matters, which is the one within. So the male-female dichotomy, the gender wars, the masculine and the feminine aspect battling each other is only a reflection of the higher and level and lower self still not being able to work through its shit. Sometimes when I'm saying this stuff, y'all, in my mind, I go into like I have these low moments when I'm doing these videos. Like I'll be on fire, right? Like I'll talk, boom, 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 2 minutes. And then on the inside, something inside of me will be like, but I said this shit 10 years ago. I was saying this 5 years ago. Anybody that's playing the blame game at this point and not talking about personal accountability, personal sovereignty, or personal power is looking for followers. I don't want followers. I don't even like using the term followers when I talk about people who follow my content. My folks, I prefer that. Y'all are my folks. If you follow my work, cool. If I'm not inspiring leaders, then I am wasting my time. If I'm not inspiring people that can maintain their sense of self and still be calm and still feel good about themselves and about their lives with everything that's going on in the world, you can delete all of these apps today. it doesn't mean anything to me. And if I was trying to just specifically get likes and views, I know what to do about that too. We're operating in a time where sexual energy is being used to control the masses. So if I wanted 1 million followers, all I have to do is step on the promiscuous frequency. I could sell 1 million books if I would just shake my ass in front of the camera. Somebody just asked me, what do I think about polygamy? I think the uses for polygamy have run their course. Well, we did it in Africa and we did it in this and we did it in that. Listen, y'all are stuck in a certain paradigm in terms of time. And I understand that a lot of people don't know, you know what I'm saying, what's happening in the background. But like I said in my last video, if you don't understand that the pool of potential mates has exasperatingly, and I don't even know if that's the word I want to use, has substantially decreased over the past 2 years. If you as a man don't understand that the number of potential mates for you, 1 wife, 2 wives, 10 wives, who knows? Depends on what, if you're trying to be a master of self, let me write this down so I don't forget my point. If you're trying to be a master of self, you don't have time to bring more people into the fold. So a man who's trying to master himself and marry an equally yoked woman and produce children that are not mediocre is operating from a different vantage point. Reproducing himself at the highest capacity, we're talking about 1 or 2 children. Unless you have a collective family, united infrastructure with one man and woman combined, equally yoked. I'm not talking about having 1 queen and 5 concubines, because a concubine is likely to reproduce herself. Sorry, it sounds harsh, but it's true. So my first question to anyone considering that is, I don't know, are you on a path? What's your trajectory for your life? Are you striving to be a master of self, or are you want to have a big family? I want to have a big family. Well, go for it. The ability to attract a woman that is equally yoked or of a higher upper echelon mindset and mentality that's willing to join that type of family infrastructure is going to be very, I shouldn't even say it's going to be low at this point. I don't know. There might be a large burgeoning community of women looking for multiple husbands or 1 husband and sister wives. I don't know. I don't have any experience in that world. Maybe we should do a poll. But my point is, this is not an anti-polygamy. I believe people should be able to live their lives however they so fit. Right? So whatever your highest goals and aspirations of yourself, if your highest goal and aspiration for yourself as a woman is to be a sister wife, that is your personal, I'm trying to find the words for this. I'm not even trying to be nice. I'm just trying to find the words. If that's your goals and aspirations, then go for it. But the fact that we're having this conversation as a culture, like this is the answer to all of our problems, stop it. What is wrong with y'all? Like, it's to the point now where women have become trinkets. And most of that is because the men who are having those conversations are not seeking women who are going to fulfill them mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. They're getting women that are fulfilling maybe 1 or 2 aspects of them. And then after a year, they get bored because she doesn't know how to compliment you spiritually. She doesn't know how to teach you and guide you in any constructive, important way. Right? We're talking about being in relationships that are not equally yoked. Concubine culture, what we've produced. So now we have women making videos. Not this one, but I was going to show this video. I was going to do a whole presentation, but me just talking about this will be fine. All of y'all women out there sharing your husband anyway. You might as well go get a, that's lack-based that's how concubines speak. Stop trying to have concubines speak for women like me. I'm looking for something specific in a man. I'm probably not going to run into him at, I'm not going to run into him at the club because I don't go to the club. He's not going to be at Magic City throwing $1 bills. I can assure you of that. And most of the dudes who engage in this conversation are, you know, trying to hurry. How long is this live going to go? I need to get to Magic City before they close. I'm not talking to you, and I'm not interested in you either. Yes, I am a Scorpio. Somebody came on my YouTube video and said something about, y'all, all women should listen to Kevin Samuels. Stop right there. Pause. False flag. Flag on the play. Somebody come get this dude. He has veered out of bounds and somehow reached my page. These people who you guys look up to as some sort of, you know, cultural icons are people that I can't listen to for 2 minutes. You start with that shit. You mention certain names on my page. Fuck out of here. Yes, it is that serious for me right now because I know what's going on. I understand the gravity and the severity of the times that we're living in. He's just, the people get the leaders they deserve. Midway God body. He's just a reflection of the people. Just like all of the other, you know, loudmouth, the YouTube visionaries, keepers of the fuckboy consciousness, gatekeepers of the, you know, the lower vibrational stages of consciousness. We welcome you. If you want to argue and bicker or fight, come to my page. You want to disrespect women and do it in an underhanded way where you could still get people to support you and, you know, do everything you tell them to do, come here. We only disrespect women on Thursdays. And y'all be listening to that shit. You come on my page telling me anything about the high value man, you're going to get your soul snatched. I can assure you of that. And then I'm going to block you because I'm looking for kings and queens. Okay? Somebody, Magic City Marlin. Well, I would. Now I was about to, I just, Marlin, I want to be nice, but is that really your screen name? Magic City Marlin? Is there a Magic City movie theater in your city? I don't know. Are you representing Magic City in Atlanta as the strip club and the strip culture as your moniker? Maybe we need to have a different type of conversation here. Now, I was just about to show you some love and give you some props, but stop it. Let the dead bury the dead. That's how I feel about all this shit. Have you had your shot yet? Maybe you should go get it. Not you, Marlon. Jury's still out on you. If ever there was a time, if ever there was a time for us to be serious, I'm not talking about not having fun but like, bruh, when does the focus start? When does the being intentional about how we're living and about how we're moving start? One day I'm just gonna go live with him. I see people keep talking about him. One of these days I'm gonna be feeling froggish. It's not gonna go well for him. If he's a cultural icon, but see, this is probable in a culture where pimps are icons. It's possible for people like that who have a little bit of knowledge and information to come on and fool the world because, you know, y'all look up to Bishop Magic Don Juan. So yeah, he is a step up from, you know, back slapping and gorilla pimping. I'm not gonna, it's just gonna happen one day. The spirit is gonna speak to me and tell me to do it. And then it's just gonna happen. I can't give you guys any, because most days I try to avoid that type of shit with every fiber of my being. I don't want to listen to anything that's going to make me walk away punching the walls. Y'all sitting up listening to shit where men are just dragging women and you feel you're living vicariously through it because you secretly hate women. Oh, but he made a good point about you drinking wine through a dusty ass bottle, trying to tell me it's fruity. No, I'm good. It's fresh. It just came from the source. Okay. Go for it. Yes, low-hanging fruit, exactly. And that was that, I've made that comment about the whole polygamy conversation. And remember, I'm not talking about everybody. I believe that, there's probably, relationships that fall under that banner that are operating and they can, operate in their own space. I'm all for it. But most, particularly Black men in America, are they're aiming for low-hanging fruit. I want an orange that's voluptuous and, you know what I'm saying, that peels smoothly and that makes me feel like a man when I walk in the room and knows how to make orange juice without talking back. Okay. But when the fire of life starts hitting your ass, you stuck in arrested development and you can't figure out your next move, or you having a problem internally based on something that happened with your family, or you trying to eat better now, you trying to live righteously, and you know what I'm saying, you want to get into spirituality and she want to twerk. Or she wants to be a sister wife and you need a queen. Then you come back and the whole pattern starts all over again. It's women's fault again because you aim for low-hanging fruit. Now you declaring a war on all women again. I'm a proponent of the hashtag stay single movement. We need to start trending that shit. Stay single, men and women, unless you can find someone that is of righteous character, that is aligned with the way that you think and the way that you see the world, that has goals and aspirations beyond just the basics, spiritual goals, you know what I'm saying, and aspirations. I keep telling these brothers, if you keep betting with these concubines, you're going to keep reproducing mediocre children. We don't need any more mediocre children. And the more you have, the more the statistics start working against you. You have 2 or 3 or 4. If you're in a family infrastructure, and you have 2 parents that are in alignment, that are operating and cultivating a righteous environment, then wonderful. Maybe 3 or 4, I know big families is a thing, but we're in a time of war. Shit's not sweet right now. So whatever you thought it was before, Kenny, he said, why not tell women this? Who do you think I'm talking to? Who do you think I'm talking to? Is it a problem for me to tell you that as a man? If it is, then you're on the wrong channel. Exit stage left. Why don't you tell women this? I tell women this all the time. I've actually written 2 books specifically to women about this. ZaZaAli.com. Maybe you should go and purchase a couple for the women in your life. And just to emphasize your point, to the low-hanging fruit of the world, concubine, I don't know, what's a good word? Pick me. I'll do anything to get chosen by a man. The same thing applies. Intelligent people understand that. I don't have to say that type of stuff. They don't think that I'm just sitting here talking about men because I just want to be disrespectful to men. This is a conversation about men and women. Low hanging fruit, men or women, is a problem. Weak-minded men and women, we need you to stop reproducing yourself. So to the men, stop giving yourselves to these concubines. Stop playing games and disrespecting your body and disrespecting the power of your life force essence by way of your sperm, your ability to reproduce God, laying down with any random female and then turning around and making videos because you had a baby by a thought. Now all women are the problem. Women, I think I need to get a white man or a woman. Black men just aren't anymore. How about you be by yourself? How about you close your legs? Yes, we know energy needs to go into farmland, but we're not talking about farming right now. We're talking about interpersonal human relationships. The things that we don't want to talk about, all of the little things that go in the kinks and crevices of creating a world and culture and family. We keep talking about family and talking about marriage, but there's a whole lot of little dichotomies that are producing weak marriages and weak relationships and reproducing that weakness and this mediocrity in children. I'm interested in seeing beautiful, high vibrational couples come together and reproduce themselves. Women who have a righteous, proper understanding of the divine feminine consciousness, marrying with a king that has the same vantage point. I'm promoting those families. I want to see that type of relationship thrive and grow and expand, not just telling people to get in relationships because you think it's the thing to do. Because to be quite honest, the kicker is that the woman that this world has produced, the strip culture element, the I don't need a man element, the I can do bad all by myself element, all of the innuendos that you blame women for were actually created by men. So the stripper culture is fun until it's your daughter. You support a woman's right to be sexually free until it's your mother online shaking her ass. Then it's a problem. That's what I'm talking about, that collective consciousness. Have you ever thought, or do you know, or even been exposed to an African from Africa women mindsets? They are fucked up and lost. They don't know about this. Any plans of rescuing them? Yes, I have. And yes, you're right. And no, I have no plans of rescuing them or anyone else. This is the time of self-accountability. And by the way, I've written books and I do workshops if you want to get them to sign up, but I'm not rescuing anyone. The savior complex has to die on all facets. So you want to read, you want to buy a book, you know some, ZaZaali.com. You can buy as many workbooks as you want. You can send it right to them. When I say hashtag stay single, I really think that we really, really, really need to start getting in touch with who we really are before we start engaging, you know what I'm saying? And trying to, like we're putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. Like wife training. When I used to see flyers, get the fuck out of here, wife training. Like you talking to a dog, first of all. Secondly, if you're going to teach women anything, it needs to be how to love themselves. Teach women about womanhood. So they won't be spending all their time out here trying to find a man and then trip up and end up swallowing a wooden nickel. in a marriage that is, you know, smothering them in every possible way, and you cheering them on because their Instagram pictures look good, but she's miserable. That goes both ways. That's not just about, there's plenty of men in talk to them all the time. ZaZa, can you get my wife to stop cooking pork? No. Did you marry a concubine, sir? I'm being facetious. It's not always a concubine thing. I'm being funny. I know you guys know I have jokes, so don't be taking everything I'm saying seriously, even though I'm serious. I understand all women don't fall, you know, between concubine and goddess. There's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, variations that flow through that. But what I'm saying is that if you're not aspiring to be an upper echelon minded and spiritually grounded woman, then you are not in the category that I am striving to be in. Nor are you in the category of the women that I am striving to aspire. Keep that shit over there. No whole frequency. We don't get on the ground and grab and do splits and shake our asses and hump the ground and act like, you know what I'm saying, wild animals to get men's attention. It's not that difficult, I can assure you. It's not. And most of the men that you guys whose attention are trying to get are not attracted to that type of shit anyway. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to men. I'm talking about like suitable. I know some kings, thank you very much. Suitable men that are like, Zai, you need to do something about this. This shit is out of control. What happened to Magic City Marlon? Did he disappear? I wasn't gonna go in on you, bro. I promise. We might need to have a talk by DM though. Something needs to be clarified here. You shouldn't be identifying yourself with strip culture. The frequency, they're keeping people locked into a sexually based frequency, because as long as you are locked into a sexually based frequency, you are trying to be God. This is the bottom line. Hold on, I'm trying to, I lost my people on. I have not been talking for 2 hours, bro. It's great to see ZaZa back on top form. A few years ago, she was hiding in her yoga trip. Then went all, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let me let you clarify before I snap. I'm about to block him. Yeah, I'm definitely about to block him. But let's get some clarity first. I'm feeling facetious tonight. Do you see? Okay, I'm gonna take a few questions and then I'm gonna get off here. Yeah, I know. It's so fascinating how people who don't like me watch. It's like that light. You gotta find a way to get close to it, huh? I need her to see me. I need her to say my name. ZaZa, please acknowledge me. I am a savage and I have nowhere to go. Fuck out of here. Say my name to prove I'm not a lame, please. And y'all be thinking I be, you know, when I be responding to this stuff, I can't tell you the messages I get, like, don't let those people get to you. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is a day at the office for me. Please, people, understand. Once I get off live, I'm in a whole different, I'm back in the third dimensional reality. I'm back trying to be where God is. This is just a little, you know what I'm saying? It's not that serious for me. It'd be that serious for y'all, but it's not that serious for me. I'm gonna answer a couple of questions and then I'm gonna let you guys go, because I've talked for 2 hours and that was definitely not my intention. Yeah, I have a whole song. Y'all don't know I used to I can rap, Like I can really rap. You know, I'm a writer, so I really, if I wanted to pursue that line of entertainment, I could have been a superstar. But I'm not an entertainer. But I do, you know, I got flows, you know what I mean? I could have done it if I wanted to. All right, let's see. I like these talks. It drain me the time you shed tears on here. I listen and learn. Others should do likewise. Yep. Okay. Let's do a couple of questions and then I'm going to let you guys go. Why are white people in shelters? Listen, this is not that type of platform. You know what I'm saying? If you just looking for attention or you have a dumb question to ask, go to a dumb platform and ask a dumb question. I don't do that type of stupid shit. It's retarded. You are such a breath of fresh air. I started watching you when I was around 18 and was so grateful to see a woman like you exist because I hadn't met any. Much love, much love, much love. I appreciate you. Come on, you guys, give me a couple of questions that are relative to what we're talking about. And then I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your beautiful Sunday. I really just wanted to, the day after I did that last live, I really was going to sit down and do this video then because I didn't think that I had, because I was dressing other things, I didn't think that I had really covered the basis of my subject matter, men versus women, frequency wars. So I started to sit down and do it the next day, but then the next day I just was like, I don't want to deal, you know, this space gets too dense for me. I saw ZaZa in one of those hieroglyphics videos. Really? Send it to me. What are my short-term goals? What's up, my brother? I see you just came in on Instagram. It's man versus woman every second I look up. Well, see, you joined the conversation late. If you had came in, you would see that the topic was just to kind of bring people in, but that we are actually talking about bringing balance into the nature of this conversation. I don't, you know, bang on men. I don't bang on women. I bang on fuckery and ignorance. So I think that we have done a horrible job at confronting the lower self individually and consciously. And I think that lower self is running rampant in our culture and in our communities. And it's affected in our music, it's affected in our movies, it's affected in the way we treat one another and how we handle each other. And I am not of the mindset that if you ignore it long enough, it will go away. I think that a lot of the stuff that, you know, it has been taking place needs to be brought to the surface. And I specifically think that when women carrying the role that we carry as women and as mothers have a very specific and fine-tuned role and responsibility in that taking place. But in order for us to become what we have the potential to become, the emphasis needs to be on self-analysis, self-awareness, internal focus, instead of being in relationships. And from that vantage point, we will have women walking into relationships more assured of who they are and who they want to become, so that they're not bouncing in and out of relationships or listening to bobblehead females on social media, talking to them about womanhood when they're really promoting concubine culture, which is what we're seeing. Somebody asked me a question on Instagram that I wanted to answer. What age did I turn my life around? I don't know. I have to think about that. I first read Message to the Black Man at 17, but I didn't turn my life around. That was like my first, you know, the spark of consciousness. But for me, studying history was really when it, you know, when I got in college, when it really started dawning on me. What do I think of Shahrazad Ali's narrative? I think that when Shahrazad Ali is focusing on men being self-accountable, and when she is focusing on men being self-accountable and women being self-accountable, that it is powerful. I think that a lot of her content is based on telling women how to be better equipped for relationships, and, you know, kind of cultivating themselves based around what men want or what men expect. And I'm not in any way trying to minimalize, the last 30 years of her teachings. I'm very abreast with her teaching. But just for me personally, I'm more of an advocate of inspiring women to become their highest and best selves, opposed to inspiring them purely from a relationship-based vantage point. Do you think marriage is a good idea in the United States? It depends on the people. I think marriage is a wonderful institution. And I think that, two souls coming together and becoming one is the most powerful, reflection of the creator that there is. The problem is we're promoting marriage and not promoting, sovereign-minded, powerful individuals coming together and creating something more powerful. So the relationships that we do see oftentimes either fizzle out or don't have a consistent attracting factor, because these people aren't trying to be their highest and best selves. They're trying to be married. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. I'm not taking anything away from that, but everything that I'm saying is in context of what's happening in the world right now, right? So I would probably be a little bit, different, or speaking a little bit different pre-2020, but now we're in different times. So because we're in different times now, talking about spiritual warfare, you got to be a lot more careful. I mean, just physically, you got to be a lot more careful who you lay down with now. If you're still going to the club and having random jump offs, yeah, there's going to be some difficult days ahead of you. Because now who you sexually engage has much more dire consequences than it ever had in the AIDS era. And that's also relative to what's happening, but that's another conversation. I'm trying to keep the algorithm off my back, so I'm being careful about what I say. But yeah, I think for two equally yoked human beings, or two people, a man and a woman, that have the same goals and aspirations, for sure. It's not, and it's America and anywhere else, I will always be a proponent for love and for family. What I'm not a proponent of is, marriage is going to fix everything. No, it's not. Individuals taking self-accountability and having self-awareness and understanding the role and responsibility they play in the family dynamic, in the cultural dynamic, and in the community dynamic, individually and collectively, as marriages and as families. It depends on what you like, I want to be nice. I won't say what just came to my head. If, Paul from Pennsylvania, who doesn't really, have any higher goals or aspirations in life. He just wants to work at Clorox and, play Fortnite at night. If he marries Lisa, and Lisa just wants to have a glass of wine at night and, maybe have children, but she's more concerned about a Gucci purse and watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. If they get married and reproduce themselves, that doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say that, we really need to up our expectations for ourselves, how we want to live in this world, the environments that we want to create, the type of children that we want to produce. I'm very happy I only have one son. And for me, my son, if I've given the world nothing else, I feel satisfied that I have left my mark through my son. I know my son's not going to be a woman beater. I know my son's not going to be, out here disparaging women or leaving or disparaging my name and my legacy. I'm very proud and satisfied with the quality of human being that I've produced, right? And me and his father aren't together. You know what I'm saying? So for some people will look at me and be like, oh, you a single baby mama, whatever, but I have produced a very high quality capacity human being. So I don't have any, I don't have any qualms about whatever you think your projection or your opinion of me is. It doesn't matter. Nobody is equally yoked anymore. I don't know, that's not in my world. Shouldn't man and woman goal in relationships be to bring out the best in each other? Of course. Money or sex culture seems to be based on go-to attributes that a good relationship is about. How do we? Okay, so Rob Jones, I can see your comment, but oh, there it is. Okay. How do we combat that so young folks can be more integral? Money and sex culture seems to be the base or go-to attributes that determines what a good relationship is about. How do we combat that so young folks can be more integral? Well, I'm doing my part with this video. I've written 2 books specifically for young women. Young men too. Actually 3, The Science of Sex, Plagues of Dysfunction, and Keys to Womanhood. So I'm doing my part. The question for you is, how are you going to implement that through your personal relationships and through the way that you are, you know what I mean? The type of women that you're around and the effect that's going to have on your nieces and your aunties and the women in your personal family. I'm on my square. What's wrong with white supremacy being our top focus because it's in all our affairs every day? White supremacy is not in my affairs every day. The more power you give with the way that you speak that language and talk about that dimension of consciousness, so to speak, the more you empower it. I don't see white supremacy. I see a world falling, crippling to its knees. I see capitalism getting ready to come to a grinding halt. And a lot of people are going to suffer as a result because they're used to the world telling them what to do, how to move, how to act, how to think. People who can't think for themselves during this day and time is going to have a really, really difficult time, right? Because if we're supposed to be consciously creating our reality, and the only dimension, or the only, your only consideration of what the world looks like is based on the world that you've been living in, the world that has been built for you. Yeah, we're past that. We're talking about going quantum. You know what I'm saying? So going quantum, it's a play on words because you don't go quantum. Quantum is what it is. But when you start talking about how you want the world to look, that's why when people ask me about polygamy, I just kind of laugh it off because it's like that's such a thing of the past. It doesn't mean that we won't have culture, relationships that are polygamous in nature, and everybody has the right to do what they want. But because the actual number of potential mates has substantially decreased during this time, I'm going to say this, but then I'm going to walk it back. You'll be lucky to find one good, equally yoked partner. Now I'm going to say that just to make the point that I want to make, but I don't believe in luck. So just to, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in luck. I believe you attract either what you are or experiences and relationships that are going to help you get to where you want to, the type of man or woman that you want to become. So we're, I don't even, that's not a part of my reality. And I wrote a book, my 3rd book. It's not finished, but it was almost finished. There's no way I would put that book out right now because I would be, still engaging that race-based consciousness, actually, admitting that racism, white supremacy is a reality, or that it is still, has a foothold in my culture, in my community. And I just don't believe any of that. What is your ideal man? Intelligent, beautiful woman. How tell you single? How the hell am I single? You asked this question on my page before, and I think I kind of snapped at you a little bit. You were one, Chris. I don't like talking about my personal life, to be honest, but just because, man, the internet is a grimy ass place. My ideal man is going to have to be able to teach me, because I'm a connoisseur of knowledge and information. I'm attracted to spiritually grounded men and martial artists. Or at least, a man that's good with his hands. Good heart, you know what I'm saying, is in touch with the divine feminine aspect of himself, is equally balanced with the warrior, but also the loving, nurturing aspect of what, man can become in his highest understanding of himself. Yeah, that's my ideal. And then, there's other things. there's other things that come into play, but if you don't have those things, we can't really get anywhere. I'm not checking your your credit score is not the most important factor coming through the door for me, or what kind of car you're driving in, or what's in your bank account. Because if you have a righteous spirit and a powerful mind, wherever your bank account is today, there's no limit to where it can go. But you can't teach, character and morals. You can't go to school and learn how to be a decent human being. You know what I'm saying? And obviously today, courage, like you got to listen, you guys see how strong and passionate I get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a warrior. There's no question about it. So my man is definitely going to have to be a warrior. It's just, because I've called out a lot of, wickedness on this planet, and will continue to do so. And my man is definitely going to have to be able to, back up my bark, so to speak. Anunnaki said I describe him. Well, I have to take a look at your page and see. Assuming you're a man, you better be a man. He probably ain't on the internet. That's a fact, Olivia. And if he is, he's on here sparingly, So I had a couple of brothers write me about the comment I made about Peru. He might not be in Peru. I think what I have been so, and I think this conversation that we're having when I read some of the comments on Facebook, like sometimes Black men in America, the inability to be emotionally, considerate, and to have a well-rounded perspective on, you know what I'm saying, the male-female dichotomy. First of all, like if you come through the door telling me, well, you got to do this or you got to do that, or like I cook, all that basic stuff that y'all be worrying about women not cooking, like that shit is child's play to me. That was preschool for me. You know what I'm saying? I cook all the time. I cook clean, healthy food. That's not an issue. I clean up constantly. That's not an issue. I ain't no drama-filled woman. The only time I have drama is when it's on the internet. My regular life is super calm and wonderful. I consistently read and keep my mind sharp, and very physically focused on what I do as far as my yoga and working out. Like I don't have a lot of the hangups that a lot of men expect women to have coming out the door. You know what I'm saying? So if you coming through the door telling me that, you got to do this or you got to do that, or that's not even like, no date, no conversation, no, none of that. I'm not interested. And I'm very good where I am right now. I don't lack anything. I said I was single. I didn't say I wasn't dating or that I don't have options, so it's always interesting to me how much attention, my relationship status gets, which really just proves the point. Like women or men who aren't in a committed relationship don't have a important, perspective to give on love and relationships. Like if you've never spent time alone in your life, whether you married or in a committed relationship, it's going to affect the way I think that you perceive yourself and perceive other people that are in a relationship. This idea of looking down on people because, he's not in a relationship or she's not in a relationship. You know how many people I know in whack ass, weak, mediocre relationships? They be the ones who post the most pictures, by the way. I'm not looking for a regular relationship. I'm looking for, epic love. You know what I'm saying? So, and I have an epic love with my son, and I have an epic love with God, and I have an epic love with myself, and I have an epic love with nature. So yeah, it's just going to have to be an epic man to come and complete the whole equation. And I say complete, acknowledging that there's nothing missing. Any other questions, you guys? I did not mean to talk this long, but I never mean to talk this long. I'm still looking at these comments on Facebook. I just really like, I really want, for us to really, like, men and women. My point in even putting that post up was that I hear you guys, men. I see you. I feel you. I understand your frustration. I have a son who's becoming a young man, so I really have to be mindful and conscientious. My point is that whatever you are expecting from the opposite sex by way of, understanding or reciprocity or compassion, if you have not intentionally given that to women that you aren't involved with, because you don't have to be in a relationship with somebody to have a relationship. Like, I have male platonic friends that I would do anything for, that look out for me to no end. You know what I'm saying? And I love these men like they're my family. You know what I'm saying? And these are my homeboys or my brothers that I have these connections with. So I transmute that energy. Sometimes you just need to talk to a man. Sometimes you just need a man's guidance. Sometimes you just need a man's perspective. Sometimes you just need his energy, that masculine, dominant masculine energy. It doesn't always need to, it shouldn't, most of the time shouldn't end up rolling around in the hay. Like I said in Keys to Womanhood, if women really sat back and thought about how many relationships that they engaged in sexually that really should have just been friends, yeah, that number would probably surprise a lot of you. But the question is, have you ever even had that thought? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, cooking and cleaning is a basic human house. Exactly. That's not a thing for women to do. Please. Now, if you have I understand the domestication of a family structure, but if you have a child, a son that you're not teaching how to wash dishes and clean up after himself, you telling him to wait until he finds the right woman, then any woman that comes along that has good sex and knows how to use a vacuum is going to tie him up. Thank you for saying that. Shine Lighthouse, and I'm going to end with that because nobody is asking me any questions, and I've talked for a long time, and I'm hungry. Wait, let me bring the comment back. Coaching and no, that's not it. Every wise man should have a woman advisor. We're going to end with that. Because as a man, if you're listening to this and you hear me, you should by now, or you should be meditating and working to manifest divine feminine guidance and counsel in your life. If you don't have any women, any high-minded is not the word, women that are, not just trying to get you into bed or get what they want to get from you, but that actually care about your well-being and your concern, that are actually willing to, ride for you in a healthy way, and look out for you and take care of you and make sure that you are, that you know that you have support from the feminine energy, then you are not living in the divine balance of masculine and feminine. You know how I know that I'm balanced in the masculine and feminine? And you see, I was on fire mode. That was yang energy last video, right? This is yin energy today, mostly. Because I have well-adjusted, well-balanced men in my life who look out for me and who love me and who will do anything for me without any expectation in return. And that will also check me if the need ever presents itself. You know what I'm saying? So that's the best representation where you are as a man, going back to the hood rat comments. And you know what I'm saying? People start having a knee-jerk reaction to strippers, right? Well, why do you think all women are strippers? I don't know. I've never even been in a strip club. All women aren't into that, like it's hard for people to even gauge that there are women out here that are living outside of the all that fuckery. Like I've never, the whole idea of doing whatever it takes to get attention on social media or to get a man's attention is that's just beneath me. Like, I'm not getting on the ground and getting my pants dirty and my knees dirty to dance, you know what I'm saying, and twerk for you so that so that, it can make you feel better about yourself and about your day. It's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I have too much respect for myself. I have too much pride and integrity for myself to ever allow myself to be wallowing on the ground or doing all of the weird ass shit that a lot of you females are doing for attention. So OnlyFans, I'm going to get back to my point because I'm getting ready to end. But I think I said this in the last one. The girl who had a stalker living in her attic. She was an OnlyFans star. And this guy was in her attic, you know, stalking her and filming her for, I think, weeks, and she didn't even know about it. Well, yeah, you're on the sexual frequency of attracting whoever may come, regardless to, you know, whatever their condition is, on the basis of money. So you're going to attract just that. And the same thing goes for the 17 and 18-year-old young females that are trying to get male attention online, who probably just need love. While y'all trying to dismiss all these females as hood rats, there's some beautiful young girls that really don't have any self-esteem about themselves. You should be trying to lift her self-esteem instead of disrespecting her, calling these girls hood rats. You know what I'm saying? And I say that understanding that hood rats are a real thing. But why are you dealing with so many hood rats, bro? Might be something within you, you know? So if you don't have any wise feminine counsel, any women that you can get nurturing and guidance, whether it's your wife, your queen, or an auntie, or your cousins, or the woman who works at 7-Eleven, who always shows you love and gives you a free cup of coffee because you're a beautiful Black man, or your professor at your school, or the cafeteria lady, right? If you haven't been able to attract any divine, feminine, loving, righteous woman energy, then you are out of alignment within yourself as a man. I don't need to know you or know your personal story to know that that's a fact. Okay. ZaZaAli.com is my website. I hope I answered everybody's question. I'm gonna answer that one question and then I'm done. He asked about how to attract a partner outside of money and sexuality, right? I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget. This will be my last question. So the first thing is, you know, when you're focusing on the relationship you don't have, you're in a lack-based consciousness. So if you're looking around at the, you know, scoping the scene, so to speak, and seeing, oh my God, there's all the women want money, all of the women are on a sexual frequency, all the men are based in money, you're already operating from a lack-based consciousness, right? So you're weighing what's out here versus what you really want. When you get in that space, you need to push back on the whole notion of relationships and focusing on being satisfied and elevated within yourself, right? So if you have any scope of which the question, I'm not saying you're in a lack-based consciousness, but the way the question is posed, which is the way that all of us are posing the question, to be honest, it comes from a place of lack. They're all out here doing this. They're all out here doing that. How am I going to find a woman that's this and this and that? Like I told you guys in one of the other videos, you know, if you look at humanity as a pyramid, the higher you go up the pyramid, meaning mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically focused on being righteous, you know, living according to your own personal standards, having a higher state of how you carry yourself, all of that, trying to be better, grow, expand every day, the more consistent you are, the higher up the pyramid you go. And even though it's lonelier at the top, it's smaller. So because it's smaller, the likelihood or the mandatory meeting of those type of minds and those type of souls is going to happen. It's just a matter of time, right? But I think all of us need to be cognizant and conscientious about how we talk about relationships, how we talk about men and women, because even if you're projecting or talking about the reality the way it is, right, you're still creating your own reality. So you can assess and make a judgment about all the women in the world, whether they're hood rats or concubines or, you know, second or third wife, right? Whatever your expectations and your kind of pre-existing notions or what you think is out there is what you're going to attract. So stay single, you know what I'm saying? And fall in love with life. Fall in love with doing that thing that makes you feel free and that makes you feel alive, right? So that we can start meeting men and meeting women on a high vibration, in a love frequency. You know what I'm saying? I want to meet my soulmate when I'm in the love frequency. You know what I mean? So if we kind of focus ourselves into being what we want to attract, then that takes away all of the conversation and the language and the energy about what's out there and what's not out there. I'm not worried about none of that shit because there's really only one me on this planet. You know what I'm saying? And as assured and confident as I am with myself, I know there's only one him out here in the world. So there is no lack when I look at love or in relationships. You know what I'm saying? And in the meantime, we need to be cultivating relationships with the opposite sex that we can transmute. Men can transmute feminine energy without having to necessarily be sexually involved with a woman, right? We teach men that, you know, the links on your chain, the belt of your chain are what establishes your manhood. You know, when did you lose your virginity? How old were you? How many women have you had? Like, we look at that like that's actually something to look up to, when in reality, the more higher your numbers go up, the more data transference that you've taken place, you know, with all these different women. So it starts to stifle the spirit, so to speak, because there's way too much energetically going on. You bring other people into the equation of your personal foundation, your personal frequency and overall like electromagnetic field. The more people you bring into your electromagnetic field, and especially if they're, you know, weak-minded or weak energy or weak frequency, they're weakening your electromagnetic field. So the culture of manhood is very dangerous for men. That's not on women. You guys have developed a lot of cultural norms and things that you view as acceptable that are very dangerous and detrimental to your well-being. If a young Black man starts having sex at 15, right, and he's, you know, unprotected, so he maybe have a couple of baby mamas, and, you know, or he's super promiscuous throughout his early 20s, and then by the time he's 30, he's trying to find the right woman, but he's been, you know, with every Sally Mae, you know, Karen, you know, craziness up to that point. He has not spent any time cultivating his higher chakras. He's been operating from his lower nature specifically, and he's given so much of his data out while at the same time receiving so much data from so many of these different entities and elements. He should be confused about who he is. He should be lost. So the stripper culture is dangerous and detrimental to men's well-being. You can do what you want. Magic City is open 24 hours a day. There's men that actually go in those spaces at 6 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is, you know, wiping the crust from their eyes, right? So I think a lot of even the lack of emotional, like how we view emotions as weak. There is no higher frequency in the universe higher than love. And love is, you know what I'm saying, always going to win in any capacity. So what do you love? What are you doing that you love? You know what I'm saying? Love doesn't only have to be about the opposite sex. And then when you start looking into transmutation and, you know, sexual energy and how you can put that energy into other paths. Yeah, you can be a playboy and a Mac, quote unquote, and have a whole bunch of women that you can check off on your list that you've actually, you know, had and in whatever capacity. Or you can take that energy and put that into becoming a master carpenter or a master writer or a master rapper or a master builder or a master engineer or a master teacher, right? So a lot of the energy that men are expressing and a lot of the energy that they focus on, women particularly, is energy that's supposed to be helping you cultivate the king or the god within yourself. That's why Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce and, you know, all of these other prototypes of this new sexually liberated free woman, that's why every time you blink, that's what you see. Because as long as they can keep you locked into the sex-based frequency and keep you focused in your lower chakras, you won't become God or a king or a good man. ZaZaAli.com is my website. info@ZaZaAli.com is my email address if you want to work with me, if you want to get information on my workshops. Of course, my books are available on my website. It's been another 3-hour conversation, which I did not intend, but you know, there's a lot going on. And sometimes I know that it's important to get a woman's perspective that's not like just coming through, you know what I'm saying, without balance and, you know, considering men and considering the different layers of this. So I hope that I have done so. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the Cash App love. I appreciate you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you again soon. Peace. Oh, I'm still live on YouTube. All right, y'all, I'm out. I'm hungry and I'm out. Peace and love.